Good morning. Good morning. A lot of energy in the room this morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Board of County Commission meeting. It's March 3rd, 2026. Please stand for the invocation of Pastor Paul DeLong of Fort Myers Presbyterian Church and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you humbly, recognizing that you are the Lord God Almighty. Lord, you are the one who raises up kings, and you're the one who sets them aside. Lord, and your Son told us that throughout all end times there would be wars and rumors of wars. In this past week, in which rumors of wars had indeed become a war, Lord, we would especially lift up our armed forces. Lord, we pray that you would protect them, Father, as they protect us. Lord, we pray for all of our leaders, Father, in Washington, Father, for our president, for our Congress, Lord, for our judicial system, Lord. We pray for all our state officials. And Lord, here I pray, Lord, for all the proceedings that happen here this day. Lord, we pray that you would guide every decision that is made. Lord, may everyone be what is best for this county, Lord, for what is best for your kingdom. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Join the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Well, good morning and welcome. We're going to first start off the day. We have a special guest in the room. Elsie, can you come forward, please? Hopefully Elsie can find a home today. We have our friends here from Animal Services going to tell us what's going on in Lee County this month. And Elsie's a little 3-year-old Chihuahua and
You want to put her down?
looking for a home. If anybody knows that anybody wants to adopt a dog, we got plenty of dogs and cats. So,
Well, good morning, Commissioners. Hope you guys are having a wonderful morning. As you can see here, myself and Tina, Domestic Animal Services, we're here with Elsie, the 3-year-old Chihuahua this morning. And, you know, she's a little shy this morning, but we're hoping to find a great home for her, as all of the animals over at DAS are hoping for. So if you have any questions on Elsie at the end of the meeting here, please come and see us. But want to share some light on some of the events that we'll be hosting over at DAS this month. But before I do, I want to give a quick shout out to our staff members that are currently up in Orlando at the FAPA conference, the Florida Animal Association Advocacy Conference this week, where Lee County has been nominated for Department of the Year in the state of Florida. So we're excited for our hardworking staff members. But yeah, as always, we have our monthly mobile vaccine clinics this month. This month we'll be at Charleston Park. That's going to be on March 12th from 9 to 1 p.m. So we're excited to have the community out. That's always pre-registration, but if you have any questions, or if anybody in the community has any questions, we encourage everyone to come see us or visit our website at leegov.com/animal services. We're also excited to partner with Lee County Parks and Recreation this month and some of our local stakeholders and rescues in some of our neighboring counties in the first annual Southwest Florida Pet Expo at the Mike Greenwell Regional Park. That's going to be on March 27th this month, and that's going to be from 10 to 3 p.m. where we're going to have over 20 rescues and shelters and vendors come out, and all with one goal, and that's to find loving forever homes for the animals of Southwest Florida. So with that said, we're going to get Elsie to a caring and loving home today, we hope. And if you have any questions for us, we're available. But with that, we always appreciate your support and guidance as we do that of senior leadership. And that's all we have this morning.
great. Thank you again for all your services.
Yeah, absolutely. Always.
Congratulations on your recognition.
Yes.
Great. Thank you again. We have a couple other proclamations. Does Commissioner Hammond, your Guy Thomas Day has been moved to a mill?
That's right. We're going to go ahead and give it to the family. They were unable to make it today, but certainly looking forward to celebrating.
Great. Okay, we have the next one is going to be myself. I have all the any natural resources staff here come forward and the proclamation. Come up to the podium, stay right there. Okay, a lot of history and knowledge in this room today. Thank you all for being here today. So we have a proclamation that reads, whereas Lee County is home to 47 miles of Gulf beaches that are vital to the character, economy, and environment and quality of life of our community. And whereas in 2025, Lee County welcomed approximately 3.3 million visitors whose spending of $3.3 billion supported local businesses, employment, and overall strength of our regional economy. Whereas 24.6 miles of Lee County shorelines are designated by the state of Florida as critical, eroded, and shrouding importance of ongoing coastal restoration and preservation efforts. Whereas Lee County's Natural Resources Division has overseen multiple beach renourishment projects, including post-Hurricane Ian hurricane projects to support shoreline recovery. Whereas the American Shore and Beach Preservation Association, ASBPA, founded in 1926, 100-year anniversary, has for 100 years advanced the science, policy, and leadership necessary to protect, preserve the nation's shores and beaches. Whereas ASBPA's advocacy and technical expertise has supported coastal communities across the United States, including those in the United States of the state of Florida. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Lee County Commissioners of Lee County, Florida does hereby congratulate the American Shore and Beach Preservation Association on the occasion of its centennial anniversary in 2026 and recognizes its century of leadership promoting responsible stewardship of American shores and beaches, duly executed by myself. Thank you. Thank you. We'll get a picture together here. Thank you.
Steve, how's it going? Good to see you. Chairman, I request we go out and verify that it still looks like this.
I'm not
need
sure
to take
blind.
the rest
I don't
of the
think.
day.
Yes. Maybe not blind pass today, but everything else is looking good. Look at that. Turn around. Get a quick picture here. Great, thank you. Would anybody like to speak from the group?
Good morning. Thank you for indulging me for a moment. My name is Kate Gooderham, and I served for 25 years on the Coastal Advisory Council, so I have a lot of experience with Lee County beaches, and I also worked for ASBPA for 20 years, so have experience with that organization too, so you're kind of bringing all my experiences together. I am retired now, but I still very much care about our beaches and shorelines of Lee County and also the rest of the world, and I want to thank you all for being longtime members of the ASBPA and your support for the organization, because without members, ASBPA cannot exist. Now, I'd like to take you back for about a minute to 1926. One thing the organization was very good about was transcribing what their president had to say. So way back 100 years ago in 1926, the president, J. Spencer Smith, said the following, and I think it's important to think about it because we are the people he is talking to. The task we have undertaken is not to be completed in a day or a year, but will probably last as long as our government endures. The big problem that confronts us, as the name of our association would indicate, does not so vitally affect us as it does and will affect generations yet unborn. The fact in itself makes the work we are now embarking upon all the more worthwhile because it frees it from the tinge of self-interest. After all, we can get along with our shores and beaches in their present condition, but with the increase of population and the desire for outdoor pleasure, what of those who are to follow us, meaning us? The fact remains, however, that the elements are continuously at work. And unless corrective methods are scientifically applied, the destruction will continue in such an extent that they will, in many places, be unavailable for bathing and other seashore amusements. It was largely this consideration that gave rise to the formation of this organization. And all of us are the continuation of his vision. And thank you very much for what you have done.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, when you think of a grain of sand, how important it is when you go to projects like on Captiva, what they done there at South Seas with sand is unbelievable. So it definitely makes a difference. We have the next proclamation is Commissioner Petrowski.
Thank you. Today I have the honor of reading the proclamation for our Southwest Florida Reading Festival. So Mindy, if you and your team can come on up and join us. Love it. Woohoo!
You notice this to be the quietest group today, too. The librarian is always the quietest.
That's the secret. Okay. Today's proclamation reads as, whereas the Southwest Florida Reading Festival was established in the year 2000 as the largest signature event presented by the Lee County Library System, featuring internationally acclaimed, best-selling authors and illustrators for all ages. And whereas the Southwest Florida Reading Festival is a free community event that welcomes more than 7,500 residents and visitors to the downtown Fort Myers River District area, contributing to commerce and driving economic vitality for Lee County businesses. And whereas the Southwest Florida Reading Festival connects readers and fans with more than 50 authors during the festival, sparking joy and curiosity through meaningful human connection and lasting memories. And whereas the Southwest Florida Reading Festival, through the generosity of donors and sponsors, provides every child and teen with a free book of their choice to promote a lifelong love of reading and improve literacy rates and success outcomes for our youth in the community. And whereas the Southwest Florida Reading Festival partners with the School District of Lee County to present the K-12 Aspiring Author Youth Writing Awards at the event, inspiring a new generation of young writers. And whereas the Fort Myers Regional Library, where the Southwest Florida Reading Festival is held annually, is a vibrant community hub of engagement, education, and empowerment, offering access to enriching programs, services, and resources, including more than 1.5 million circulating items. And whereas the Southwest Florida Reading Festival has been celebrating the power of reading and improving access to information, literacy, and opportunity for 27 years. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Lee County, Florida, does hereby proclaim March 7th, 2026 as Southwest Florida Reading Festival Day. This signed in by our chairman, Cecil Pendergrass.
Congratulations.
Yes, we're very excited.
Yeah, squeeze in a little bit. Triple up in the front there.
Thank you.
Mindy's got the microphone.
Yeah. Good morning. Thank you for recognizing the upcoming Southwest Florida Reading Festival presented by the Lee County Library System. We appreciate the ongoing support of our county commissioners, county management, county staff, and the community. It has helped make this event a long-standing and cherished tradition, 27 years strong. Our reading festival comes together thanks to the hard work of library staff and committee members, and we are grateful for their efforts. We are proud of the services and resources the Lee County Library System provides to residents and visitors of Lee County every day. Our reading festival is one of our signature events held annually at the Fort Myers Regional Library and Campus in downtown Fort Myers. Thank you again for this recognition and support, and I encourage everyone to come out to the Reading Festival this Saturday, March 7th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, great. And that was our last proclamation. And we have no business on the recap at this moment, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Item to be pulled by discussion of the board. Commissioner Hammond.
None for today.
Commissioner Wynn. I have none. Commissioner Wilco.
I have two, 15 and 22, please.
15 and 22.
I'll move the balance, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
We have motion and second. Commissioner Petrowski, do we have
I have
22?
none.
Okay, great.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
I jumped ahead of myself.
That's fine. Okay, we have motion and second. Any public comment on items other than 15 and 22? We have public comment card on 22 and Marshallis on...
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Marcia Ellis, and I'm commenting on item 26, which is to approve the Kingston Impact Fee Credit. This is $582,000 for a road easement. However, in the Kingston settlement, the parcel that has the road frontage was under Lee County ownership from a previous settlement. So I have some questions as a part of that land swap and that agreement that took place several years ago, why the easement wasn't taken out while it was under Lee County ownership when Lee County was in negotiations for this development. And basically what we're ending up with is the taxpayers were all losing nearly $600,000, which is closer to $1 million than it is to zero. And we're losing that money at a time when we are physically constrained. And I've heard these discussions come up by attending those budget hearings. So I just ask that we not continue to add to this tradition of not projecting where these road easements are going to come in and approve settlements, approve rezonings, approve developments where we know that those roads are going to be expanded, which creates a windfall for people who have insider knowledge and understand the inner workings of the way that county government operates and how that these things develop over time. Thank you for the opportunity to put that on the record.
Thank you. Any other public comment other than 15 or 22? We'll come back to the board for any questions or...
Chairman, I have a question. Just because stuff gets said all the time from the podium that
That's false.
isn't necessarily true, and it gets put on the record, and I feel like, Commissioner Mann, who was amazing, served our community for 40 years, said to me years ago, he's like, Brian, if you let people lie about you and then you don't challenge the lie, then other people are going to just assume it's true.
Right.
And so can I ask a couple questions to maybe our legal counsel to just look at some of the assertions that were made and just clear up anything that was maybe put on the record that might not be totally accurate?
Please. Richard?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Commissioner, thank you for the opportunity. I'll defer to Mr. Jacob, who will clearly delineate the speaker was misspoken, and we certainly appreciate the opportunity to clarify and correct the record.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, he's completely wrong. The land that the county swapped already took out 50 feet. This is additional land that we needed for the right-of-way.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
satisfying.
I was going to ask the same thing. I had one of the local activists who's anti-business or anti-growth or anti-everything asked almost the same question. So it's obviously and it's unfortunate people say taxpayers are paying for this. We're not. We're using impact fee credit from the developer to pay for this. And at the end of the day, if people are not paying impact fees, they're saving money to the taxpayers. So this money, if we're not using by impact fee credit, would be paid by a taxpayer building the home. As if you go to build a home, I built 3 in Lee County, I had to sign that check for impact fees. So it's taxpayers actually saving taxpayer money. So it's just going to expedite the road faster. And now we can use that money to build other roads like the legal corridor now in that same district. So thank you for clarifying that. And thank you for saying that. Any other comment on those items?
No, I appreciate you clearing the record because, like you say, the truth is easy to tell. We just have to make sure that it's not being misadvertised by less informed.
Right. Well, thanks. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Any motion? We already motioned. Any objections? No, motion carried. Thank you. Number 15, Commissioner Mullick.
So, thank you, Chairman. I pulled 15 just because I think it's a really great project, and I wanted to thank the Lakes Park Association for contributing 50% of the funds to buy a new cart for their park, and I just wanted to share my family, and I'm sure thousands of others, families in Lee County, have really enjoyed Lakes Park, and I want to tell you, my 2-year-old Hunter would run from my front door all the way there every day if he could, because he loves to ride that train and go to that park, and it's just a great experience. So I just wanted to highlight that when we go there, the volunteers and the employees of the park just make it so welcoming, clean, participate. You can see the engineers on the train really care about their job, and it just makes it a great experience, and I think it's just such a wonderful attraction. I just wanted to highlight the efforts of both the association and our team that's at Lakes Park.
Thanks.
I'll move to approve the item.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment on item 15, Lakes Park? Come back to board. Any objection? No objection. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 22.
So, number 22 is a DOT project on Fort Myers Beach, and I was hoping that staff would review that project and timeline with us. And we're lucky enough to have the mayor of Fort Myers Beach present, and he's been talking to me about this for the last couple of years, and I'm happy to have this agenda item today.
Mr. Chair? I'd like to ask Rob Price, but we also have Mary Tucker available as well regarding timing of procurement. Rob?
Good morning, Commissioner. So my understanding is you had some questions with regards to the timelines. We put this project out for bid. Because this is a FEMA project, we have to get a minimum of three bidders before we can move forward and award a contract. The first bid, we got one bid as a part of that, so we had to rebid. Subsequent to us going back out to re-advertise, we made some changes to the plans to try to elevate the signal cabinet. The signal cabinet was originally constructed a couple years prior to Hurricane Ian. It was at ground level. Obviously, when we got the storm surge from Ian, and then subsequently we had Helene and Milton, all three storms deposited sand and water into the signal cabinet there. So we looked at how could we raise the signal cabinet, and so we designed some improvements to elevate it 4 or 5 feet with stairs that are going to go to it, and we had to make some ADA-related changes so that we could access the cabinet for maintenance purposes. So all of that happened in between us closing the first bid and going out and advertising the second bid. Construction-wise, the project is expected to issue a notice to proceed with a 45-day material acquisition phase. We expect to start construction in June, and it's going to take us 3 months.
Okay. So, a couple of follow-up questions, if you don't mind. This was a FEMA project from Ian, so over 3 years ago. Did we not anticipate with FEMA and a hurricane-related rebuild to elevate the cabinet to begin with? I'm just kind of surprised when everything else we're building is anticipated to go up so much, like the Lynn Hall bathrooms, et cetera. Why that wouldn't have been part of the original?
So typically when you have a hurricane rebuild, you're building back exactly what was there before. When we initially went out to advertise the first bid, that's exactly what we did, was to rebuild what was there before. After that, we had Helene and Milton that also infiltrated what the signal cabinet would have been if it was functional. So it was our decision at that point to try to elevate the signal cabinet to minimize. I mean, if we have a Hurricane Ian, we're probably still going to have some issues. If we had a Helene or Milton that we only got 4 to 5 feet of storm surge, we may be safer at this point, and we may salvage that signal cabinet in the future.
Okay. No, again, it's just a common thing when you rebuild after FEMA hurricane. You got to build new codes, new elevations, and I just would have thought that would have been anticipated faster than last summer. So I'm glad we're building it to a greater standard, and I'm happy to see the project moving forward. But we get beat up a lot, like we talk about the media, pushing us to accelerate road projects and what can we do to streamline timelines. And so when I saw 7 months between bids, that caught my attention. I wanted to make sure it wasn't just a procurement only issue, because I thought that took like 2 or 3 months to rebid something on average. So 7 months struck me as odd. So the timeline between the December bid opening to today is another 3 months. Is there anything internally we could do going forward to minimize that from bid opening to board?
So part of that is the contractor who was, okay, there's a couple things. We only got 2 bids this time. Because we had re-advertised it, we had to seek approval from FEMA for us to move forward and award to one bidder when we only had 2 bids. So that process takes time, the communication with us and FEMA, to get their authorization to bring it forward to award the contract.
So we had to get special approval from FEMA from the December bids to be able to put it on our agenda. That's the federal government got in the middle of that.
Correct. We also met with the contractor because it's a contractor that we haven't worked with before on the signal contract. So we wanted to meet with them to discuss, to confirm and get a more warm and fuzzy feeling that we think that they can execute the project. So we did that as well as a part of our due diligence before we brought the contract to award, in case the contractor decided they wanted to walk away from their bid.
Okay, well, I was pleased to see the numbers. They're like 60% of the high bidder, so I was pleased to see that they honored their commitment to that price and timeline. So again, this is a happy project, right? I mean, the beach has been talking about this and been providing other services down there to try to move traffic for a long time, and there's been a lot of pressure in my middle of my district to move this project forward. So again, I'm commending you. I'm trying to explain to the public why some things take longer and cost more than they think, and to make sure that we pulled this agenda item, that people saw a good news thing happen, that we are doing this as quickly as possible. So.
Yeah, this bid was actually lower than the original bid that we just had one bidder.
Well, I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You good? Okay. Any public comment on this? We have one card, Mayor Darren Aller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you for your service.
Thanks for being
I'm here
here.
for, want to say my name? Mayor Dan Allers, Town of Fort Myers Beach. Thank you for pulling the item and asking those questions, Commissioner Maleka. We probably more than anyone understand the restraints and the restrictions of dealing with FEMA when it comes to approvals and obligations. So thank you for that explanation. We also want to thank you for your collaboration, obviously since Hurricane Ian, and your staff for working with our counselors as well as our staff in approving what we need to get improved. Go through the list. Because of that collaboration, we're dealing with a new Crescent Beach Park, Lynn Hall Park, Bowditch, a new pier, and as of yesterday, the start of the refresh of Estero Boulevard. You pair that with what we're trying to do, which is we've approved every single commercial project that has come before us since the storm. All 24 of them have been approved, on top of the countless remodels and rebuilding of homes. I think we can say we're well on our way to be where we all love to live, work, and play. That being said, this intersection is very, very vital. That is the artery of getting onto the beach at this point. I again want to thank you, both your staff and our staff, and you guys as well, and ma'am as well, for your work. My email box has gone significantly down when it comes to traffic congestion, with the exception of this one light. So I urge you to pass this today so we can get this moving forward. We're certain this is the last key, I think, of a lot of the major projects that we have on the beach to be able to help get back to where we all want to live, work, and play, like I said. But I also want to ask for your consideration, if there's something that you can do over the next month. We are really taxing our staff with overtime and trying to get people certified to be able to work that intersection. You have to have certifications to be able to direct traffic. Lee County Sheriff's Office has been excellent in helping us over the last couple of years with working that intersection when they can. And then this year they have a lot of volunteer staff down there working. But again, those volunteers get spread thin. So a lot of days are left with no traffic control there. And again, that is the main turn now to get into the Times Square area. So it gets very, very congested and then backs that traffic up both directions, as people are figuring out that roundabout and how to use it to their advantage. So it's backing traffic up to Bowditch Point at this point. So if there's anything you could do or make recommendations to your staff to work with our staff to be able to provide some sort of assistance, at least through the next month, to get us through the busy season, we would certainly appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other public comment on item 22? Come back to board for an action.
So I'd like to move the item, but with one consideration from the team here to honor the mayor's request to have our staff work with his to see if there's any possibilities to enhance traffic control over the next 30 days, especially since we have 2 active construction projects on either side of this intersection at the same time. I think it would be a good neighbor program to assist with that if we can.
Second that. Okay. Any other discussion? Commissioner Hammond?
I have an idea that I would even put out there that I'd be interested in fact finding on the interim solution. Is it possible, I believe I read that years ago the state legislature had authorized that the use of tourist development tax funds could be used to help provide for extra law enforcement or traffic direction in some of these areas where folks who are tourists are heavily impacting the traffic. I know it would be maybe a first time of precedent setting, if you will, but first time using it here, but this is just maybe an interim solution. We have the permanent fix on the way. It's not necessarily like it would even become a recurring funding obligation. would it be possible to pay for getting some folks out there to provide traffic direction through this next month to get us through the tourist season, and then obviously the permanent fix is on the way?
We have county attorney for that one. He's, there's some statutory requirements for that TDC funds.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Commissioner, the statute you referenced, going from memory, so it's a dangerous thing, so I'll reserve. I think it pertained to counties with a population less than ours, so we may not qualify under that provision, but if the board would authorize our office to explore all other alternatives that we might be able to utilize TD funding for, we'd be happy to do that and advise the board as such.
So I'm going to amend my motion to say for our staff to work with their staff and find the best vehicle to fund those that we can, that's available to us.
Okay,
Yeah.
second.
Second.
Okay.
Again, just fact-finding, not looking to set any new precedent.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other discussion? Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, for coming down. Move on to the administrative agenda. Number 33.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item is to execute CDBG-DR loan documents for Renaissance Preserve Senior and Family Apartments. I'd like to ask Nicole Turner to come up and present the next three items.
Good morning. I do have the next three items. We have three multifamily affordable housing rehabilitation projects for approval today. We'll need an individual motion for each one, but to summarize very quickly, these are all Housing Authority of the City of Fort Myers projects. This is to preserve and repair existing units. For Renaissance Preserve, that is 272 units. East Point Place is 86 units, and Landings at East Point is 126. We're asking for approval of the developer agreements for each project today.
Any questions for staff? Okay. Thank you. Any public comment on item 22? I'm sorry, 33? Any public comment? We'll come back to the board for action.
I'll move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Any objections? No objection, motion carries. Number 34.
That item is to execute CDBGR loan documents for East Point Place.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, then, it seems like they're all related. Is it possible, I'll ask the county attorney to just move 34 and 35 then together?
Mr. Chairman?
Richard?
Yes, if you take public comment as to both.
On each one individually? Okay.
You can combine them into one motion and approval if you take public comment as to both 34 and 35.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, since they seem to be together, I'll make a motion to approve 34 and 35 as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any public comment on items 34 and 35 together? Come back to the board, no public comment. We have a motion, a second. Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you.
I'm very happy to see these projects move forward after all this time, so congratulations on staff and the Housing Authority.
Thank you. Next will be number 36.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is to approve the FY 26-27 strategic plan direction. As you remember, during your February 23rd strategic planning session, you came up with a number of strategic priorities. I'll go over them really quickly. The first is to implement flat budgets for FY 26-27, including county departments and constitutional offices. Wait until after the Florida legislative session to discuss long-term financial strategies. The third, provide infrastructure sales tax scenarios, time-specific, cost-specific, project-specific, to include transportation priorities and civic center scenarios. Bring those back at 2 separate workshops. Bring back constitutional office term limits of 12 years for ballot initiative to match county commissioner term limits. Hold a legislative priorities workshop for state and federal issues. Hold a workshop on solid waste master plan. Work with MPO and state to enhance FDOT district office in Fort Myers, or create a new district. And then finally, write a letter endorsing VA hospital in Lee County.
Great, thank you. Any questions, County Manager, or discussion on the topic?
I think it was a great planning session. I wanted to, again, compliment the team. I thought we had some really great dialogue and some really great participation, and these are going to give us a lot of good efforts. I just don't accept any of the responsibilities I've been given after I left, so.
Oh,
that's
we
right.
nominated you a bunch of things.
I heard. I think you were chair. About six committees now, you're chair, so congratulations.
We'll take care of you.
I'll gladly move the item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I had a question, County Manager. How are we gonna, are we gonna have any discussion or at least talk to the constitutional officers as this 12-year term limits affect them? And also, is the timeline really strict to that as far as getting approved language to the ballot, 75 words or less by a certain date for the supervisor election? I think it's by June 20th probably this year. It could be off a couple of days. So where are we at with that? Is that County Attorney, is that something to be working on?
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to your charter, the first order would be, since now we have board confirmation, our office will prepare and advertise an ordinance directing that it be set on the ballot. We will present that to you for consideration at the earliest possible meeting, and we will coordinate with the supervisor of elections as to the timeframes. With regards to the constitutionals, perhaps the county manager and myself could work on that project jointly to address the constitution.
Okay, I understand. I mean, I know out publicly we get asked this question all the time about different offices, including our offices, about that. And so I understand where it's coming from. I just want to see if we're actually having some dialogue, at least let them know what's happening other than hearing about it from somebody else. So that's why I was asking. Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. We have public comment on this item, number 36. One card, Marcia Ellis.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Marcia Ellis for the record. And I'm commenting on item 36, which is the approval of the fiscal year 26-27 strategic planning direction. And so my comment really has to do with the ambiguity of the agenda. I had a real problem with the lack of specificity and the structure of the way that the agenda was set up. It really did not rise to a ministerial standard of rigor, and I think that that structure, or the lack thereof, really carried over into the way that the meeting was conducted, and it set an improper tone. So I would just ask that, in the interest of professionalism, that we revisit the structure of the agenda so that it sets the proper tone for the meeting. Thank you.
Any other public comments on item 36? Come back to the board. We have a motion for a second. Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you. Number 37.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is to approve a budget transfer of TDT Common Reserve, Tourist Tax Development Common Reserve for City of Sanibel Lighthouse Beach Park Pier. I'd like to ask Ms. Tam Pykett to present the item.
Good morning, Tamara Pygott, Visitor and Convention Bureau. Before you, we have an item that would approve a transfer of reserve funds to a beach and shoreline project in the amount of $2.1 million. This is for the Sanibel Lighthouse Beach Park Fishing Pier. You'd approve the transfer and a budget amendment for this project, and then staff would then be directed to develop an interlocal agreement with the City of Sanibel, whereby they would be reimbursed the expenses for this project up to that $2.1 million.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
Thank you, Tam. I appreciate you bringing this forward, and certainly appreciate everyone indulgences on this. I mean, obviously, we're trying to help not only St. Beach, but Sanibel recover. And this is Lighthouse Way is the first beach you go to when you get on the island. It is probably the most significant beach, and honestly, it was brought to my attention when I was dealing with a lot of personal issues last year and wanted to make sure I got this through. I think it's really vital for the community and their resiliency. I think we're going to go about this the right way, and quite frankly, it's certainly a lot easier on the eyes than the Fort Myers Beach Pier. So with that, I'll move the item.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Thank you. Any public comment on this item?
I certainly support the item, but I do have a couple of questions just to clarify, if you don't mind. Is there anybody here that can, I'm certainly pro-pier, so I think I've made that clear, but can you give us an actual timeline on the project? What does accelerating this money benefit the project? Is our plan, is it shovel ready? Do we have all our permits? Do we have plans? Is it out to bid? Please, just the background.
Mr. Chair, I did speak to the city manager. They do not have a timeline at this point in time. They are working, they haven't even gone out for design yet. They're in the process of doing that.
Great.
So this could be a year from now to come back, or?
Roughly, yes. 2 years.
I would guess.
But at least earmarking this does give them the confidence to move forward as quickly as possible.
As a district commissioner, I'll make sure I stay really close to this, like you did with Fort Myers Beach. It's really vital.
No question.
I will certainly put my foot on the gas pedal.
I just wanted to hear, I was hoping it was going to start this year.
Appreciate it.
So,
Understood.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Any public comment on this item? Here we have a motion, second. Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you. We have no public hearing today, and no welcome carriers. Commissioner Hammond. Commissioner Hammond, do you have a, Commissioner?
You know, the only thing that's just on my heart to share today, and I know it's on all of yours as well, is just gratitude to the folks who are willing to volunteer to protect our freedom. I know there's a lot of them in harm's way right now. We have some veterans who work for us here at the county government, and so thank you very much for your service, and thank you, and we're praying for all the families who are hoping that their loved ones come home soon, so thank you, Chairman.
It's a dangerous world. We just had 2 deputies in Florida here yesterday just escaped death by almost being shot. So, and then what's happening in Iran, it's unbelievable. So thank you for bringing that up. I thought about earlier the prayer to mention that, but I think we lost 6 servicemen so far, you know, over there. Commissioner Wayne, do you have any commissioners?
Just want to bring you up to date. As you all know, I left the strategic planning meeting, went up to Tallahassee. It was a very fruitful visit. Been there a couple of times, and the good news is certainly met with a lot of key people from DEP to Senate President to the past Senate President to House Appropriations Chair, and our items are all in play, and I appreciate obviously Jennifer Mulliker for all her hard work. It was nice to see. There certainly seems to be a huge disconnect in property tax reform, and I can assure you, having spent time with the President of the Senate, he is adamant that he doesn't necessarily find the House version very acceptable whatsoever. He believes it will probably go to special session. And then lastly, probably most importantly, I've had the privilege of working on water quality for the last 18, 19 years, and developed a great relationship with Congressman Daniel Webster, who's invited me to come to Washington. He's going to put members of the delegation. He is a senior member on the transportation area. We have a couple of things in play right now. We have a $300 million DOT grant that certainly we look like we have a fairly good possibility of doing that. And also, you know, they want to help as much as humanly possible in that regard. You know, furthermore, there's also an opportunity with HUD, since if there's going to be a trip to DC, to go back to HUD. We did have an unmet need of $8.4 billion. So, you know, while we're there, make utilization of the time, go in there and obviously advocate for that. It was a privilege to receive that type of money, but it's also an opportunity to remind all the people and all our delegation, all members outside the delegation, how important this is to our area, and obviously receiving additional CBR money would be, you know, really good for this community. I think the timing would be good as well, because I think you'll give a pause a little bit, go through a process, and then you come on back. You know, I do remind in the conversations I've had that New York was very successful during Hurricane Sandy. Their initial appropriation was $5 billion. They ended up with 13. They did a strong lobbying effort. So I will certainly coordinate our office and make sure that the city county manager knows when we're going, and certainly any assistance would be more than welcome. The other thing that I found out, you know, this is just for our own edification, we don't get a chance to talk much up here. I did find out from the county manager, Glenn, that we had Ballard Partners as our lobbyist, and just indicated that the only concern I have in general is just as we go there this upcoming year, we're going to need people to go in there and try to open doors. You know, we have a great new staff member, and that'll be helpful. I just want to make sure that our visits and our advocation is as productive as possible, getting into as many key players as possible.
Did you say the contract expired and we did not renew it? Have I heard you correctly?
Yes.
My understanding is we were maybe their only local client, their only local government client, and so that's not necessarily a line of business they wanted to continue in maybe. I think it was mutual. I don't think it was a negative breakup by any means. But yeah, it'd be neat if we look, you know, I don't know if NACO, the National Association of Counties, has some folks that they work with, but maybe there would be an opportunity for us to, like you said, find somebody who could help open the doors for us, because we do have a lot of federal priorities that we need to work on.
Yeah, no, listen, I understand the background. I just was, when I went to Tallahassee, I was not aware, and it was brought to my attention up there, so I just want to be proactive in making sure I understand, you know, when we do have changes like that. So that was the only real issue.
Thank you.
Question on that. Again, I'm relatively new, not the newest, but if we have to make a board approval to approve hiring a lobbyist, wouldn't there be some notification that we didn't renew or have a staff recommendation not to hire somebody? Is that from following your?
Yes, Commissioners, we briefed everyone on the Ballard contract expiring, and that we were bringing somebody on, which is TJ behind us. We were bringing somebody on to handle that. It doesn't preclude the board from deciding to bring an entity on to be the federal lobbyist. We can do that and waive procurement at the next board meeting if you so choose. If you'd like to hear from Glenn about our thought process and what we were going to do, I can have Glenn present right now, if that works for you.
I appreciate that. And again, your new team member, he was introduced at our meeting, and we were supposed to meet following that day, and I think something got crisscrossed, so I may have missed one of those briefings. Okay. I appreciate you bringing us up to speed on that.
Great.
Great, thank you. Anything else, Commissioner White? Do you want to do that now, or?
If you like Glenn to just give you a quick update, and then if you want to do something different based on his conversation, we can bring something back to the next board meeting. So it doesn't preclude us from coming to the next board meeting.
Do we need more direction now?
No, I think as this starts to become more current and we have dates locked in, we could have a subsequent conversation. We'll have a better plan on what we know, don't know. Again, I think to your point, you know, we're all busy trying to do what we're trying to do, and if we missed the expiration, I just want to maybe, you know, in the future, make sure I don't miss something like that.
Sure. Thank you. Anything
Thank
else?
you.
Okay, I have no items. Commissioner Malika, you have an item?
So another good news piece, I often tell people, they say, how's it going up there as a new commissioner? And I say, there's a lot of things going right in Lee County, and that I'm very proud of. But one of them I wanted to remind you, bring it back to your attention, was that the Jacobs Drive culvert was about last May, I believe. I brought this item that we had a drainage issue and a culvert issue down on Jacobs Drive at the end of the 10 Mile Canal area project, and a lady named Peggy was a lobbyist working really hard on this for a long time, and that I wanted to compliment our local Lee DOT staff on promises made, promises kept. We said we would start the job right after the new year, when it was dry season, to put in the new culvert, improve the road, head walls, and I'm pleased to report that we're within days of sweeping the deck of the final new roadway, and it looks beautiful, and that neighborhood is well served with that. And as a side note, the fencing along a 2020 preserve in that area was a little bit unsightly, and we got a few emails on that, and I wanted to compliment our staff and departments for putting in a new fence and cleaning up the roadways, and it just the general presentation of the drainage and all that area along the whole roadway is much improved, and I just wanted to let you know that that project went successfully. I think, Brian, you said that was my good idea of the day back then, so it actually happened, and I just wanted to let the residents know that they're heard and these things can be addressed, and compliment our team for doing a great job.
Great, thank you.
Good job. Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Commissioner Petrowski.
Yes, I have an item. It's also kind of constituent-led as well. Just in the last 4 years, we've been getting data. There's a great need to bring a project that's in our infrastructure tiers to the front. It's our Richmond Avenue in Lehigh Acres. We've gotten just in the last 4 years 77 calls, emails, requests regarding potholes or the edge of the pavement. So there's a great need. The data shows that it's a huge collector roadway, and it's being very affected, and it's affecting traffic congestion. So, and it just continues to increase. So I just wanted to ask today if we could see if Lee DOT can prioritize resurfacing Richmond Ave, and specifically from the Greenbrier Boulevard to the Able Canal and from Leland Heights Boulevard south to Bear Street. And then that way we can bring it back to board approval. But if we could just have direction to do that.
I'll second that. You need a vote, Richard, or a consensus?
Vote, please.
Okay. That's your motion. I'll second it.
Check, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Any public comment on that action? Come back to the board. Any objection? No objection, motion carries.
One more time, you got all 5 county commissioners supporting District 5 projects in all of the counties, so proud to be part of the team.
Great.
Yep, and they'll
Great motion.
very happy. Thank you.
Thank you, much definitely needed. Committee appointments, Commissioner Hammond, do you have any appointments?
No appointments today.
Commissioner Wayne?
I have 2. I have Brighton Bird to the Coastal Advisory Council, a new appointment, and Jennifer Johnson to the Historical Preservation Board.
Second. Any public comment against those? Any objection? No objection, motion carries. I have none. Commissioner Malika, do you have any?
None.
Commissioner Petrosky?
I have one. Tanner Rainwater for the Veterans Advisory Committee.
Second.
Okay. Any public comment on that? Back to the board, any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you. County manager items.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 2 items today. The first being fiscal year 27 community project funding request. I'd like to ask Mr. Salyer to present.
Thank you, Commissioners. As you know, we've been invited by Congressman Donalds and Stubbe to submit requests for community project funding. These are often referred to as earmarks. That process, as you might remember, was reinstated back in fiscal year 21. We intend to submit the projects that we included on the recap agenda with one modification. We had footnoted the I-75 Del Prado Interchange Justification Report and PD&E project as something that we thought was underway, but we would intend to submit that project in addition, just to be certain that the project is available for the Appropriations Committee to consider. And so that's what we plan to do unless you want to provide additional or different direction. And then secondly, we would like to ask that you authorize the board chair to sign letters in support of each of these requests.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment on that action? Come back to the board. Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our second update, our second item is an update on Burnt Store road safety measures. The board had approved safety measures. We have an update regarding those and timeline changes. So I'd like to ask Mr. Price to present the item.
Good morning, Commissioners. We appreciate the board's continued focus on safety along all roadways in Lee County. After the board gave direction to include rumble striping, paved shoulders, and passing lanes on the remaining 2-lane section of Burnt Store Road on January 20th as interim safety improvements, we met with the South Florida Water Management District to seek a permit exemption for that work. Activities that are eligible for a permit exemption are defined in the Florida Administrative Code, and the code provides for exemptions to an environmental resource permit for safety improvements, provided that they do not add additional travel lanes. In the opinion of the district, passing lanes are added travel lanes, which will trigger the need for a full environmental resource permit. ERP takes about 18 months to secure in comparison to a 30-day permit exemption. The ERP will also require additional drainage requirements that we must design. So in light of the time-sensitive nature of implementing safety improvements, we're asking the board for further direction. Would you prefer that we move forward with the safety improvements as originally directed on January 20th to include the rumble striping, the paved shoulders, and the passing lanes, and also obtain a full ERP? Or does the board agree to remove the passing lanes from the project and have us immediately seek a permit exemption to add rumble striping and paved shoulders? If the board agrees with the latter, we will work with procurement to bring back a contract to add rumble striping and paved shoulders as soon as possible. And we will also seek our permit exemption immediately with the Florida Water Management District. With that, I'm available if you do have any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Rob?
Chairman, if I may, I want to thank our staff for working so hard on this. And, obviously we found out through our due diligence, this wrinkle with the permitting and the extension or the delay that would cause. So I'm supportive of what the staff is requesting with that second scenario there to eliminate the passing lanes, but move forward with the other improvements in order to get these improvements in the field much quicker. Because I think the faster these get put on that road, the safer the road will be. And so I would, if we need a motion, I would make the motion to approve what Rob has laid out there as the second option, but obviously open to discussion as well.
Can we discuss that for a moment, please? So I appreciate those sentiments, and everybody wants to do things as quick as possible, but just for your consideration, I was originally a rumble strip only vote, right?
Yeah.
But your presentation actually changed my vote to take the full approach to do as much as we could, as soon as we could. And we've had a lot of good feedback on that, and I think that I'm not so quick on giving up 2 miles of turn lanes over permitting. But I wanted to clarify something. At our MPO meeting, that Commissioner Ray and I were here at, the MPO described the same work, and we reaffirmed the need to do this, and the City of Cape Coral was there. It says on here the next step will be to obtain environmental permits for the additional pavement while simultaneously bidding the project for construction. The permitting process is expected to take 6 to 9 months, is what FDOT agenda says, not 18 to 24 months. So I don't know where the delta is on that description.
So FDOT did not consult us when they put together that agenda item for the MPO. We've never obtained an ERP in less than 12 months. It typically takes us 18 months. We've had extensive conversations with the Water Management District about the timing of this. And it's not just okay, we're going to submit for the ERP. There's new drainage requirements and new nutrient requirements that we will have to comply with. So for us to even submit for our ERP, we need to do a drainage design that is going to take us probably 6 months, and that's if we find a consultant off of our miscellaneous contract that we can go forward with to implement the design to meet the Water Management District standards.
So when you made the initial recommendation, again, I look at this job, even if we had to wait a number of months for the ERP permit, just to discuss for a moment. Your first recommendation was the rumble strips and the benefits, the immediate benefits and the cost benefit of that, bang for the buck, right? And the immediate
That's correct.
impact. So we could do the rumble strips tomorrow, so to speak, correct?
That's correct. We would literally just go out to bid for a paving contractor.
So if we implemented your number one recommendation for the original agenda item immediately, we have an immediate safety benefit for Bergstore Road, right? And then the permitting process, hopefully, maybe we could get a letter of support from the board and the City of Cape Coral and have a joint effort with the state, FDOT, all three of us to lobby, again, to Commissioner Hammond's point with being the 5 best lobbyists for Lee County. Maybe we can do something to encourage the Water Management District to accelerate even a few months off of the permitting process to assist with this. I wouldn't be willing to give it, I'd like to see it happen as originally planned in the 2-step phases, because we get the immediate safety benefit, that was your number one recommendation, and still have the big picture benefit, which is the greatest good we could do in the next 5 to 8 years to add those extra lanes to assist with traffic on Bergstore. So that would be my motion. Or we didn't finish your motion, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah,
To amend your motion.
I'll withdraw my motion until we finish the conversation then, because it sounds like we still got more conversation to have. But I did have a question, Mr. Chairman, if I may ask Rob. So we were talking about the permitting process. You said this ERP, for lack of a better word, I'm sure you understand the terminology much better than I do, is like a different code. It's a higher level of permitting than what we had originally had contemplated in our current PD&E for the Bergstore Road widening, like maybe some codes or standards had changed on drainage or something like that? Am I remembering our conversation correctly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for bringing that up. So because we are in a PD&E process with the state, the 4-laning of Bergstore Road is going to be grandfathered into the previous codes for drainage. So we're not going to have to comply with the most latest and updated nutrient requirements that went into effect in late December. If we do the passing lanes, we have to get an ERP now based on the current rules. That was not a part of our PD&E. It jeopardizes our ability to use the older rules on the 4-laning of Burnt Store if we get an ERP on this section of roadway. And perhaps Roland could help clarify, but my understanding in working with Natural Resources and working with Becky Swigert for DCD is if we get an ERP on this section of road, we're gonna have to bring everything into compliance, so it would jeopardize our PD&E.
And I mean, practically speaking, what does that mean? More money, more cost? What is?
It's gonna mean higher level of drainage improvements. We're gonna have to do more storage and nutrient removal. So there's gonna be additional levels of drainage that we're gonna have to implement on the new 4-lane section.
And that could cost more, or?
Yes, I would say undoubtedly it will cost more, probably require some additional right-of-way as well.
And that was one of the concerns as we were talking through it, but I'm, again, open to discussion.
We've waited so long to do so little in this stretch of road. I just, again, I would ask for favorable support to move the item as originally planned in the 2 phases with rumble strips now, and then do all we can to get the permit accelerated with water management to move the 2nd phase of construction and passing lanes, because we waited 40 years to get the last 10 miles of 4 lanes, and this is 2 out of 10 of those miles would be 4 lanes in the near future that we could actually have a tangible project.
Question, realistically speaking then, if we waited and say we got this permit 12 to 18 months from now, then how long until these passing lanes would actually be constructed?
I'm gonna guess 2.5 years because of the timeline to get the permit, go out to bid, get the contractor. Adding passing lanes is gonna be a lot more involved than putting in paved shoulders and rumble strips.
You said about a 9-month timeline, I believe.
For construction, yeah. So I'm gonna guess we'd be in the 2.5, 2 to 2.5 years.
Permits plus 9 months, right? So
yes, sir.
if we can accelerate the permits, the 9-month construction is going to be stable.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And then, Lord willing, we would probably hopefully be ready to move into the 4-lane, the full 4-lane.
Yeah.
If I could, I want to say, this was my concern when we brought this up. We obviously want to do improvements. Every day we don't do anything out there, there's a chance that somebody could lose their life. And I think our intention, all of us, our intention is to do some improvements to save a life and make the driving improvements better. It was obviously disappointing to hear what we have to go through with the water modeling, nutrients become from water management, but I understand it's natural. It's obviously, it's a really preserved critical area there in North Cape and the Yucatan, everything to preserve that area for the nitrogen coming in off the roadway. But then we want to preserve, like my concern is the timeline. I think when I hear these timelines of 2.5 years, 9 months, we're getting closer to, we're going to be tearing it up to 4-lane it. So I like to do it personally sooner than later. So whatever the 2nd phase that you presented was quicker, and that was my option, was to choose that because we'll get it done sooner. But obviously I'd rather have the turn lanes and the more lanes, but again, more surface. But any improvements we could do now to save a life would be worth it though.
So there's basically 3 phases of this job, right? There's the rumble strip phase, right? There's the potential turn lane shoulder phase, right? As we passed it now, or previously. And then phase 3 is the ultimate $200 million-ish 4-laning master project, right? And I think that when that was explained to us in the last meeting, how far out did you say if we had the money in our pockets today, what's the fastest we could have started Burnt Store Road? I think that was a pretty lengthy timeline.
So Burnt Store, the way we set it up with our partnership with FDOT is it was done as a design build project. We are nearing any day now receipt of our design build criteria package, which deems the project shovel ready by FDOT standards. So literally funding comes available, we could go award a design build contract. There probably is 18 months to a year's worth of additional design work before they actually start churning dirt. But our discussions that we had through strategic planning with the board was whether we could roll this into our bonding. So if we found the funding, we could start construction and award a contract within 6 to 8 months.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
I
Dave?
thought we were 6 to 8 years out. Last time we talked about.
Probably because of funding, just trying to identify funding. Can I
Funding, yeah,
Yep.
funding. But also, can you talk about right-of-way acquisition as well, the timeline on that? I think that's also part of this.
So we've also been in the right-of-way acquisition phase. We got authorization from the state for us to move forward with right-of-way acquisition. We've been acquiring properties that are voluntarily willing to sell. We haven't done the condemnation efforts yet, so we're looking at 2 years from that point before we actually start construction, when we actually bring forward the alignment study, which we've basically just been waiting right now because we don't want to do this too soon from a funding perspective.
Mr. Chair, so I think the 6 to 8 years was related to the funding. If we had the way that we're looking at it now, it's 6 to 8 years away based on the funding mechanism we have aligned. The board gave us direction to look at additional opportunities and funding sources, and that's how we talked about potentially bonding it along with Cape Coral Bridge, and that would bring it along quicker. Again, to Rob's point, we're still roughly 2 years out just based on the land acquisition piece. So other than that, the timing lines up exactly how Rob said. We can move forward, and the 2.5-year timeline for the option that you approved does get close to the timeline of the acquisition and the timeline you could build the road.
So you need the board to take action, either option 1 or option 2 today?
Correct.
You need direction from that? Okay.
So if we go option 2, it was like $3.7 million, and all we gain beyond rubble strips is the little wider shoulders.
Correct.
So are more of the car accidents that are happening on Burnt Store right now with tragic loss of life that we've had happening from people running off the road to the right, or is it from impacts from people in passing lanes in the middle that the rumble strips are more equipped to handle?
So I'm not going to answer that directly, just simply because we haven't done the forensic analysis of all the crashes. What we're seeing is lane departure is the biggest issue from a safety perspective out there. The most effective way to address lane departure is rumble striping, that was why that was part of our initial recommendation. Safety factor, we would see correctable safety factors in the 45 to 50% range by adding rumble striping. Paved shoulders are an additional feature that we see a 25 to 30% increase in safety when you add paved shoulders. The passing lanes, there's not a whole lot of studies out there that show what a passing lane does to improve safety. There's some discussion that when you get higher speeds, people get more aggressive to go past, you might actually have a negligible improvement of safety. We included that because it is one of the tools in our toolbox to address safety on a 2-lane roadway.
No, when you're behind a slow truck on a 2-lane road, I mean, it can be really frustrating to be stuck behind a, semi that you can't see around, and you're waiting and you finally get a chance to get around them. Like when you go to the Keys, past a boat trailer, those escape valves are really handy to help people get around that person, and for that person in the slower vehicle to maintain their safe travel speed and let somebody else get around. So, again, I respectfully would ask you to join me, and I think we can accomplish all 3 of these things, and by keeping the phases as we have them and have the best of both. I'm concerned that by the time we get the funding, I was originally concerned with I was a rumble stripe only guy, again, Mr. Commissioner Hammond.
Yeah.
You talked me into upgrading it, and the reason I did that is because it was said the 5 to 10 year window of, we had sought a question mark on actual starting, because I didn't want to do something and throw it away immediately, because I think I asked that question, as soon as we finish this, are we going to start the 4-lane and throw it all out again? And I was told there was a number of at least 5-year delta in between there, and I said we can't wait for another 5 years. But I think even if we pick this up, to spend $3.5 million on the shoulders only, to then that we can't use towards the turn lanes, that seems wasteful. If we're going to do it in 2 steps, I'd rather just do the whole thing that we already approved and have the benefit of the 50% safety improvement now, and then have another upgrade next year on the books would make me feel better. So that's my motion. I'd invite somebody to make a second.
Robbie keeps referring to now, so would something be done now if you chose the original plan? Or would it all be done
Just the rumble striping, Commissioner.
Rumble strips would be done, but the turn lanes would be done once the permitting through water management, new watering, drainage, and water hauling, all that's done later then.
The paved shoulder and the and the passing lanes would be done at the same time.
Hopefully in 27. So,
I was asked the staff, so what time, when do you think the timeline is on that?
For the,
Water modeling, drainage, nutrient counts? You were saying before, 24 months, is that still accurate?
I think we'd be 6 months to get a design in place that we can then submit our ERP to the Water Management District. Then we'd be looking at another 18 months. So we'd be 2 years to go out to bid and bring it back. So we would look in 2.5 years before we actually
It
award a
would come
contract.
back to us 2.5 years, and then we'd vote on it, then the project will go out to probably 6 months for construction.
If we secure funding through some method for burnt store 4-laning, we could be building the passing lanes while we are finalizing the design to move forward with construction of a 4-lane road.
So Chairman, if I may, so, we're allies on this. I mean, I think you've articulated so well the reasons for passing lanes and why they would help improve safety. But there's also an element of, I have to put myself in the shoes of the people who live in this neighborhood, who are going to drive this every day, who will never watch this meeting and never have the benefit of the context of everything we're discussing here, right? And they're gonna see the rumble strips appear, and they're gonna be happy about that. But then they're gonna see probably 2.5, maybe even, just knowing how government works. And you guys do a fantastic job, so please don't take this offensively, but maybe probably 3 years from now, then they'll see these shoulders and turn lanes getting built. And then another 2 years or 3 years later, they'll see that get torn back up. And just putting myself in the shoes of the people who live in that neighborhood, they're going to say, why did they waste my money on that interim step? Because the truth is, there are people out there right now who think, we should just 4-lane it tomorrow. They think we have the power and the money to 4-lane it tomorrow. They don't have the context that we have. And so I do have to think about them a little bit and trying to do a project in a way that will help improve their drive and their commute, but also in a way that they don't feel like we're wasting their money either. And so, again, I think you've articulated such a great reasoning for the passing lanes, but the timing is not, it doesn't work out for me. If we could get to work on the passing lanes and have them in place by the end of this year, that makes sense, but it doesn't sound like that's possible. It sounds like it's probably more like a 2.5 to 3 year time horizon on that, which I just don't think that timing works for what I was looking for. But the shoulders do work, because I do know from people I've spoken with who live in those neighborhoods that they would like to see the shoulders for law enforcement safety. They feel like law enforcement may enforce the speed limits out there better if they had a safer place to pull people over. And so that's why I was supportive of the shoulders. Again, I know you made a motion. I don't know where we stand on that, Mr. Chairman, but if that motion doesn't have a second, then I'll make one again for the option that Rob laid out for us here today so that we can move forward. But again, this was a great conversation, really productive. And again, like I said, I think we're all allies on this. We all just want the safest burnt store road that's out there.
No, and I may be optimistic in our lobbying abilities and capacities to assist with these other agencies. And, I just want to make sure we leave it all on the field and that the residents all know that we're doing absolutely our very best all the time.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunately, you have to, when you're dealing with the different agencies, with the state and the federal side, we can lobby all we want. At the end of the day, though, they have so many projects in the ground. If you talk about piers, bridges, Corkscrew Road, Alico Road, it's just so many different roads going on right now. It's just which one do you push aside to get something done? And we want everything done today. Unfortunately, when it comes to that depth of a level of regulations within the state, you can only lobby so much within the, they have to go through their process when it comes to water modeling and as far as the drainage and everything. So it's unfortunate, but
I think it's a fair discussion. And again, respectfully, Mr. Chair, when FDOT presented it to us in a 6 to 9 month time frame on a state road, then I thought maybe they had a secret that we didn't know, or a process that we could upgrade or team up on, that there was a path somewhere in between that I was optimistic on. So
I remember sitting in MPO 6 years ago, and they said Colonial was going to take 6 months for the intersection. So 3 years later, it got done. So, but it's it's unfortunate, but
I'm an optimist.
Yeah, no, can't blame you for that. Yep. So Chairman, if I may, then I'll move the DOT staff request then to go ahead and move forward with the improvements, but eliminate the passing lanes then.
So is that the second option? Okay.
Correct. That's the one that Rob laid out and is recommending.
Okay. Second that. Any other discussion? Any public comment on this action? We have one card on the item. Dr. Mary Ellikis. Good morning, Doctor. Thank you for coming. Morning.
Good morning, and thank you. So many of you, I think, have probably seen me several times, not only before this body, but also before the MPO joint meetings that we've had with Charlotte Prince George's. Punta Gorda. I used to live in Prince George's. The Brewster Corridor Coalition does strongly support the removal of the passing lanes as part of the BSR, Brewster Road Safety Improvement Program. We would, however, ask the board to consider increasing the shoulders of the road from 4 feet to 6 feet. This was a recommendation, by the way, of a subject matter expert that we have that sits on the coalition, who has done a lot of road forensic work and is a former law enforcement officer. And one of the reasons for that, and some of those comments were made earlier about the shoulders, is that it really would enhance the safety for our public safety personnel as well as for our emergency personnel. It also provides an added safety net, especially during inclement weather, because that road does flood. And during inclement weather, you cannot see anything on that road. I don't know if any of you have ever driven it during very severe thunderstorms at night. It is downright scary. And there is no place to go. I mean, there is just no place to go. So at any rate, like I said, we strongly support your deliberations here, and we thank you very, very much for all of your efforts, by the way, in really moving the Burnt Store Road project forward. We also applaud staff for all their efforts. They have worked with the coalition so well. So thank you again, and we appreciate what you're doing.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, we'll come back to the board. We have a motion, we have a second. Good discussion. I think, like you said earlier, we're all allies on this. We all want the same thing. I want it done tomorrow. This is unfortunate that we have to deal with the permitting process as we see happening in Florida Beach and the Sanibel. We have to deal with the permitting process, but it's unfortunate.
I'm really grateful to this board, the priority we've made this, and I want everyone to understand the priority is for us to try to make this safe and then expedite this as quickly as we possibly can. The high priority, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any objection to the motion?
I'm going to be a no on this particular item, just respectfully to for the reasons I already stated, but I support the master project, of course.
Great, thank you. We have one objection. Motion carries. Thank you. David, do you have anything else?
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. County Attorney.
Nothing further, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Great, thank you. At this time, we'll have a public presentation on matter of concern citizens, and we have a couple of cards. Marsha Ellis.
Super, thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Marsha Ellis for the record. I'm pro-transparency, pro-accountability, pro-civic engagement, and also pro-anticipation. So I just wanted to put that on the record. And I'm speaking today with concerns regarding records and custodianship, having the records be accurate, having accessibility to those records, and also the value of redundancy with having not only the records that are prepared by Lee County, but also having the clerk of courts with their minutes and their ministerial role serving the public and making those records available. And I'm going to speak from experience here, because there have been issues in the past in my role. I'm speaking as an individual, but in my role with the League of Women Voters, for instance, we were seeking records on the final contract with the Lee Health conversion. We wanted to have that because, as you know, we've been active in this community since 1949. It was very important that we have that in our cache of records. And we were unable to find it through Lee County, but we reached out to the clerk of courts, and through that redundancy, we were able to work with both and access that document. Many times, I personally have accessed those minutes through the clerk of courts because I would be looking for attachments when I would submit those, and those would go onto the record. Those records are handled by the clerk of courts, and so I would look to them as a resource for that value of redundancy that really critical role plays in our community, which is not just the role of record keeping and custodian of records, but is also the role of comptroller, having that oversight. And with that, I'm going to speak to times when I've had problems accessing records. Most recently, there's an issue with the 2/18/26 video, which was a planning and zoning hearing for the Sea Wharf. That date is incorrect. It is listed as 2/18/25. This is an issue because this is a matter of public interest for the 20th Judicial Circuit. It's a matter of public interest for the 6th Court of Appeals, 6th District Court of Appeals. It's a matter of public interest for the Federal Aviation Administration. The contractors who have been prematurely contracted to build that facility, there is a lot of public interest in having these records be correct and having that value of redundancy for this community. And I just urge you to give the clerk those services the due respect that they amply deserve. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next speaker, Steve Epkins. The board could excuse me and have another meeting outside the hallway. We have to do it at 11 o'clock, and our vice chairman will be taking over from here. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, commissioners. My name is Steve Epkins. I'm a retired Army colonel of 28 years of service and as an intelligence officer in airborne special forces and special operations units. Also, I have 22 years of teaching Army JROTC in Florida high schools in 5 different counties. Today, I want to address 3 items for veterans. If you look at the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs, they say there are over 56,000 veterans in Lee County. And I think that makes us number 6 out of the 67 counties for the number of veterans. So we're up there. The first thing I want to talk about is I came here a couple of weeks ago and I invited everybody to the what we call the Honoring 250 Military and Veterans of Lee County. And every one of them will get one of these. And our guest speaker is the Lieutenant Governor of Florida, Jay Collins, my Green Beret brother, okay? So everybody's going to get one of those, and everybody will get one of these, a certificate signed by the Lieutenant Governor. So if anybody, we'd like you all to be there. It's Saturday, the 28th of March. It's at South Fort Myers High School. It's 11 o'clock, and we're going to get all the 250 that have been nominated to get them there, to get their medallion and get their certificate. Okay. All right. The next thing I'd like to bring up is to establish a formal proposal or do the formal, how do you get a Lee County Veterans Hall of Fame? Now, I just found out that Ocala, Marion County established the first one, as far as I can tell, in the great state of Florida. And I'd like Lee County to be number 2, okay? So I'm asking that the Lee County Commissioners go through the process of establishing a Lee County Veterans Hall of Fame, okay? And the last thing I'm going to mention is I saw in your strategic initiatives that you had write a letter for a veterans hospital, and I just think that's a great idea, and with the 56,000 veterans in this county, we'd love to see that. So thank you all very much, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. And if we can ask staff maybe to meet with that gentleman and discuss this subject as requested.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman, I'll check the liaison assignments, but I believe I might even be the veterans liaison currently, and I'd be proud to take that up and work with Mr. Epkins on it, just to fact find and see, but we'll do the due diligence and see what's involved in this. Sounds like an idea worth exploring.
Congratulations on taking the lead for that. Well, I'll second that motion.
Thanks.
All right. All right, the next speaker we have is Brett Walton. They're still here? Brett Walton? All right, that's the last card I have. If we have any other public that wishes to speak that didn't turn a card in? Joyce?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Joyce Campana, and I'm a resident of Lee County District 2. I'm here to tell you about the tour I was given at Lee County Domestic Animal Services when I met with them last week. I was impressed with all of the functions performed by such a small staff. They do it all. We discussed successes and identified areas for improvement. The recently added Lost Pet Portal is already having a lot of success, reuniting pets with their owners. Microchipping has increased since the implementation of the microchip program. Below is a list of areas that staff would like to improve upon and that we discussed, and I hope to work with them in the future. Educating owners, even young children, on how to be responsible pet owners. Increase public awareness of the functions performed by animal services. Decrease the number of animals sent to animal services in the first place. Increase the pet adoption rate. And finally, receive increased funding to provide more aggressive medical services to the animals they care for. Below are areas that were identified for further consideration. Increasing public awareness on social media platforms, which keep growing on a daily basis, so there'll always be a need for that, I think. Further discuss the development of and composition of a citizen advisory group. I understand one existed in the past, and maybe in some form or another, that idea could be resurrected. Have the Lee County Office of Engagement provide additional press releases and highlight the successes of animal services. They do some neat things, and I think the public needs to know about it. Finally, seek additional funding to provide increased medical services. This could be accomplished by seeking funding in the 26-27 budget and holding additional fundraisers. I see a lot of places around us have galas and whatever. Maybe that's something that could be explored further. During the past 3 years that I've been attending these board meetings, I've heard a lot of issues raised about domestic animal services. I encourage everyone with questions and issues to contact them, go in on the spur of the moment and do a tour. This is my second time there. The first time I went in on my own, and I will be back. I look forward to collaborating with the Director of Animal Services towards the goal of improving services being delivered to the animals and taxpayers of Lee County. Thank you for your time, and I'd like to thank the staff of Animal Services for their time.
Thank you for that.
I'd just like to highlight that too, that the services we're providing, the work that Pablo and Sergio are doing are bar none. I'm really impressed with what they're doing, and mark the day that we just got a huge compliment. Thank you, Joyce, for that. It goes a long way, so kudos to the team, truly.
I do appreciate the kind words. I know we don't like public comment on public comment, but thank you and good job is easy to follow up on. So there's a lot of things going right in Lee County, and I appreciate that. May not sell as many papers as the bad news, but the good news is happening every day, so thank you for that. Do we have any other speakers that wish to speak in public comment? With that, we're adjourned.
Thank you.